Good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. We're on a very tight timeline, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Please continue to enjoy your lunch as we proceed with the program. Hello and good afternoon to all of you. It's so great to see you today, and I can already feel the excitement in this place, and we're just getting started. Would you agree? For those who are watching virtually, my name is Noel Hasagaba, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Port's Chief Operating Officer. And today it's my honor to serve as your Master of Ceremonies. On behalf of the entire Port of Long Beach team, it's my great honor to welcome all of you to the 2024 State of the Port. To the 800 guests who are with us at the beautiful Long Beach Convention Center, please continue to enjoy your lunch as we carry on with today's program. And don't forget to take your selfie and for your time zone. Now, no matter how you join us today in person or via live stream, we are thrilled to have your company today. You have made our day by being here and tuning in because it's your attendance that makes this event special. In fact, this event is for you. It would not be here if it was not for your engagement, your participation in transition to zero emissions, our cutting-edge programs and partnerships to drive efficiencies and supply chain connectivity, to our award-winning community programs, could not be possible without your support and your participation. So thank you for being part of the Port's success. Now, as we get the program started, I'd like to ask everyone here to please silence your mobile phones and devices, especially those with embarrassing or annoying ringtones. And we're going to start off with some welcome remarks from our mayor, Rex Richardson, who will join us via video in a moment. He will be followed by the president of our own Long Beach Board of Harbor Commissioners, Bobby Olvera Jr. And then, following a short musical interlude, we will move to the State of the Port address by the Port of Long Beach CEO, Mario Cordero. Now, please note that Mario will be making a major announcement at the conclusion of his address, so you'll want to stay until the end. Now, for our in-person audience, I hope that you'll agree that this is an outstanding venue for this event and that we've enjoyed a wonderful lunch. Please join me in giving a big hand to the entire Long Beach Convention Center staff for their outstanding work. Thank you so much. And I would also like to recognize our amazing Port of Long Beach staff who planned and made today's program possible. Our communications team continues to raise the bar year after year. Thank you so much. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Long Beach Mayor Rex Richardson. Mayor Richardson was elected Long Beach's 29th mayor in November of 2022 after serving as the city's vice mayor and on the Long Beach City Council. During his first year in office, Mayor Richardson has been one of the Port's strongest champions. He recognizes the critical role of the Port in supporting the local and national economy and has been a tremendous advocate of our efforts to secure state and federal funding to help make our port more competitive as we continue our quest to zero emissions operations. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear from Long Beach Mayor Rex Richardson.
Happy New Year, and welcome to the State of the Port of Long Beach. Thank you for being part of today's program. I wish I could be in the room to join you, but I'm away at the U.S. Conference of Mayors in Washington, D.C., serving on the National Advisory Board and advocating to bring home the federal resources to keep our port clean, efficient, and competitive. But I want to take a moment to extend my gratitude to the dedicated Long Beach Harbor Commissioners, CEO Mario Cordero, their incredible team for all their outstanding efforts this year. 2023 was an exciting year in our harbor, and I'm even more excited about the port's prospects for 2024 and beyond. The Port of Long Beach continues to be an engine for economic activity for our city and across our region, a leader in decarbonizing the maritime industry and a positive force in our nearby communities. And while we continue to innovate and revolutionize goods movement, we're developing the skilled workforce needed to move cargo into the future. Training the workforce of the future will mean more union jobs for residents of Long Beach and neighboring cities and communities. Union jobs that will provide fulfilling careers and pathways to success that will make our great city even stronger. With the new labor agreement between dock workers and terminal operators and the competitive spirit of our port team, shippers and retailers promptly increased cargo flow to our San Pedro Bay, and the port closed out 2023 in a very strong fashion. The fourth quarter, our port experienced a resurgence of volume with monthly increases as high as 24% year over year, thanks to the hardworking members of ILWU Locals 13, 94, and 63. Our port is the gold standard for clean, sustainable operations in a Model C port in the United States and beyond. And that's why our county, our state, our federal partners continue to demonstrate their trust in our port with major investments into capital improvements and clean air initiatives. In 2023, the Biden-Harris administration and the state of California awarded our port historic levels of funding, hundreds of millions of dollars to invest in expansion of on-dock rail and new zero-emission technologies to make our operations cleaner and more efficient. From Arches Hydrogen Hub to the U.S. Department of Transportation Mega Grant, supporting our Pier B expansion. Together, these projects will help ensure that the Port of Long Beach continues our legacy of environmental stewardship and economic leadership. And most importantly, we're continuing to invest in our communities. Our Harbor Commission has approved millions of dollars through the Port's Community Grants Program to minimize the impacts related to air, noise, water, and traffic. It is the largest grant program of its kind amongst all United States seaports. It's a popular and effective program aimed at helping neighbors who previously felt overlooked or worse, forgotten. And thanks to all of you for joining us today. You can take pride in these remarkable accomplishments because all of you contributed in your own way to these great outcomes. So thank you for your service, your partnership, and enjoy the 2024 State of the Port. Next up is a man who worked at our ports for most of his life and this year is leading the Long Beach Board of Harbor Commissioners. It is my honor to introduce and welcome Harbor Commission President Bobby Olvera Jr.
Let me tell you of the sailor, Harriet Bridges is his name. An honest union leader that the bosses tried to frame. He left home in Australia.
Wow, what a crowd. Good afternoon and Happy New Year. And thank you, Mayor Richardson, for sending an inspiring message. Your leadership and optimism spur us to do better each and every day for this great city and this great port of choice in Long Beach. I'd also like to thank the members of the Long Beach City Council, who all continue to be supportive leaders and partners for the Port of Long Beach. Now, before I begin, let's recognize once again the Convention Center unionized staff who are working so hard to make today the special event that it is. We have food service staff who are members of Unite Here, Local 11. And on the building side, we have members of the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 501. Again, let's hear it for their hard work. Now, this is my first state of the port since becoming president of the Harbor Commission. And I would like to thank my fellow Harbor Commissioners for their confidence in me. I feel very fortunate to serve with them. Vice President Bonnie Lowenthal, Commissioner Frank Colonna, Commissioner Steve Neal, and Commissioner Sharon Wiseman. Thank you all for what you do as public servants and as tireless advocates for our community. And thank you to our commission staff, Shauna, Mario, Monique, Christina, and Maria, wherever you are out there in the audience. I truly appreciate your hard work and expertise. Your support is crucial to the work of the Harbor Commission. Thank you. Now, the port had big news last month when the U.S. Department of Transportation announced a $283 million mega grant for the port. It's very encouraging to see investments like that in our Pier B on-dock rail support facility project. And this project is due to begin construction this year. With Pier B, this will enhance the port's competitiveness maintain its role as an economic force for the region, and serve as a sustainability model for ports in the U.S. and abroad. It's just one more reason. There is no port like the Port of Long Beach. As many of you know, I've been working at the ports up and down the West Coast as a member of the International Longshore and Warehouse Union for more than 30 years. I grew up in a family of port workers, more than 30 in my extended family. And I sometimes visited the port with my dad, who was also a longshoreman, right here in Southern California, Local 13. And I remember dock workers unloading huge ships. And I'll date myself here, moving break bulk like bananas and frozen meat and citrus, and some of the very first vessels that came into the port carrying automobiles. I recall the camaraderie among those dock workers, and it has made a lasting impression upon me. Now, the port has been home to me in a lot of ways, but I don't think that many can say that they actually lived at the port. And as a Marine, my last day of duty was at Long Beach Naval Shipyard, right about where TTI's empty yard is right now. And I still remember my place in that building, Building 422. Of course, I did not imagine that one day I would become a harbor commissioner, much less the president of the commission. But the port industry offers so many pathways to work and succeed. And I'm grateful for all of the opportunities that the port has provided to me and continues to provide the entire community. And that's the way it should be. As the Port of Long Beach is part of the largest port complex in North America, we are the premier gateway for the Trans-Pacific trade route. We lead the nation in competing for cargo, and making capital improvements, and creating sustainable operations. Now, we're here for the shippers, the importers of consumer goods, the exporters of ag products and manufactured wares, and the trucking industry. Now, make no mistake about it. Cargo has come back to the West Coast, and we are not letting it go. Congratulations to the rank and file members of ILW's Local 13, 63, and 94 for getting the job done. And I'd like to thank their leadership, President Gary Herrera, President Danny Vilicic, and President Danny Miranda. Thank you, gentlemen. As you know, the port is committed to taking the lead in generating good jobs and developing a skilled workforce for generations to come. Last year, the port reached a new project labor agreement with the LA Orange County Building and Construction Trade Council. This was another important development because it is a 10-year agreement. It brings even greater certainty that our capital improvement projects will continue without interruption. With this new long-term PLA in place, we can look forward to rail, roadway, marine terminal, and other infrastructure improvements done the right way and on a timely basis. And keep in mind that this new PLA sets hiring goals for local skilled workers with an emphasis on apprenticeships, as well as hiring veterans, workers in the midst of career transitions, and single parents. I would like to thank all of the affiliated unions of the Building and Construction Trades Council. And I would like to thank their former executive secretary, Chris Hannon, and their new executive secretary, Ernesto Medrano. Thank you, brothers. Now, last March, we recognized the state's pledge of $110 million to establish a goods movement training center here in the San Pedro Bay. It will be a hub to recruit, train, and retrain employees in the goods movement sector. And we know the state seed money will go a long way toward creating a skilled workforce, equipped with the know-how needed to move cargo efficiently, sustainably, while utilizing cutting-edge equipment and advanced technologies. Investment in the Workforce Development Center will pay dividends. Let me repeat that again. Investment in the Workforce Development Center will pay dividends for employers and employees alike. And this is not my father's port, and he would not expect it to be. We're rebuilding, electrifying equipment. We're decarbonizing operations while developing the skilled human talent that will make the port thrive for decades to come. I can say this, Dad would be proud of how far we have come and where we're heading. Our efforts to prepare the next wave of port workers extend beyond the harbor complex. In August, we awarded scholarships totaling, I get this, $220,000 to more than 150 students to help them pursue degrees in port-related fields like engineering and international business. We also took time in that same event to recognize our 2023 class of summer high school interns, the first class following the 3-year pandemic hiatus. We continue to work closely with Long Beach Unified and Long Beach City College and Cal State Long Beach to develop workforce pipelines for port industries. And let's not forget, our collaboration goes on with Cabrillo and Jordan High Schools, where our port-sponsored learning pathways are helping to prepare students for what might be next. And some of those students are here with us today on both sides of the main aisle. So please rise and let's all give them a warm round of applause. Thank you all, and those are our future leaders. Thank you. Now, the Harbor Commission, port leadership, and staff are expanding opportunities for residents and developing a workforce that will carry on the important work that is yet to come. Now, upon taking office, Mayor Richardson made a promise regarding the port. He said that the neighborhoods closest to the port and truck routes, communities that we acknowledge are most impacted by port operations, would not be forgotten. I'm proud to stand here today and say the port's efforts to reduce its impacts are focused on helping those precise communities. I want to touch on our community sponsorships, which help us deepen our ties in and around Long Beach and maximize our engagement with the community. In 2023, the Harbor Commission approved nearly 400 sponsorships, totaling nearly $1.5 million. In fact, from 2022 to 2024, the Harbor Commission doubled the community sponsorship budget to $2 million. And these funds help us engage with local organizations and keep them up to date on what's happening in and around the port, with events that center on the environment, education, social justice, the arts, and historic preservation, among other important local interests. Now, our mission in the port, plain and simple, is to move cargo. And we do that better than any other port in North America. And our promise to the community is to be a force for good for residents and our neighborhoods. Our Board of Harbor Commissioners and the more than 500 employees of the Harbor Department come to work every single day, determined to live up to that promise. So, on behalf of the Board of Harbor Commissioners, thank you for being here today and supporting the port of choice, the Port of Long Beach. Thank you all.
Please continue to enjoy your lunch. Once again, the Port of Long Beach's very own TEUs.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, and then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah, I'm sitting at the dock of the bay, watching the trains roll away. Ooh, I'm just sitting at the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia, heading for the LBC, 'cause I've had nothing to live for, and looks like nothing's gonna come my way. Yeah, I'm sitting at the dock of the bay, watching the trains roll away. Ooh, just sitting at the dock of the bay, wasting time. Looks like nothing's gonna change. Everything still remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do, so I guess I remain the same. Yeah, sitting here resting my bones, and this loneliness won't leave me alone. It's 2,000 miles I roam, just to make the Port of Long Beach my home. Yeah, I'm sitting at the dock of the bay, watching the trains roll away. Ooh, just sitting at the dock of the bay, wasting time.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, to present the 2024 State of the Port Address, I direct your attention to the main stage to welcome Port of Long Beach CEO Mario Cordero.
Thank you, and welcome to the port, and welcome to the State of the Port 2024. You know, looking back at 2023, I have to say we had a great fourth quarter. I am looking forward to 2024. Now, on a serious note, great economy. We ended the year with a very resilient economy. 2.7 million jobs created in 2023. In December alone, 216,000, far more than many people expected. Unemployment, 3.7%, a very respectable low number. And of course, the latest CPI number of 3.4% evidences that we are moving ahead in controlling inflation. Last year, 2023, the port introduced the theme of the Year of Imagination, and we introduced Pier W. Thank you, Suzanne, please. That is our part for working with the state of California to move to 100% renewable energy. I came to this position, I was very blessed to be offered this position in 2017, and in my first state of port, I said we needed to have an Amazon state of mind. Why? Speed, velocity, efficiency. In 2020, e-commerce expanded double digits. Speed, velocity, expectation of getting your goods the next day. Now, the San Pedro complex remains the #1 gateway in the nation by far. And of course, Long Beach, we regained our #2 position. Now, I will say, June and July, we had some tough numbers at the Port of Long Beach. However, October, November, we moved more TEUs than any other port in the country. But at the end of the day, the number that we really need to watch is what these two ports move together. We average anywhere between 1.4, 1.5 million a month. The forecast, as we approach the end of the decade, we will be moving 2 million TEUs at each month. So thus, the big question is, it's not whether one port moves more TEUs than the other on any given month. The question before us is, the San Pedro Bay complex needs to collaborate, maximize our collaboration in order to continue to compete, and the big number is, what do we move together? Now, let's take a look together at this special view of the Greenport. And it's set to the music of Beethoven's 7th Symphony. The port of choice, the Greenport, the Port of Long Beach. Whoa. It's always a good time for Beethoven's 7th Symphony. Many people believe that the second movement of this symphony, Beethoven's Symphony, was his greatest composition. Later in the program, we will hear from the American composer George Gershwin. What will be the Port of Long Beach's greatest composition? I think it will be the Pier B on-dock rail support facility. We have been composing and designing this rail masterpiece for a long time, And this year, we will start construction. It will be the music for many years. Thanks to Mayor Richardson, as always, for his support and guidance, and we look forward to another great year working with the mayor and his team. President Olvera, thank you for your opening our program and your optimistic outlook, your enthusiasm, and all that's happening in the harbor is absolutely invigorating. So thank you again. We appreciate all of our harbor commissioners who bring so much in their role in setting policies that make our port the green port. Also, thank you to the City Council, members of the state and federal elected leaders, and their staff representatives who do so much to support us from the ports here in Long Beach and from their offices in Long Beach, Sacramento, and Washington, D.C. And of course, I appreciate all of you here today and online for taking part of your day to join us. You are the ones most vested in making our port successful and our initiatives, and I greatly appreciate your support. Now, today, I represent to you that the state of the green port is strong. We have gone through one of the greatest challenges with the COVID-19 pandemic, and we've emerged. Still, the premier gateway for trans-Pacific trade. And I want to thank our friends at the Port of Los Angeles for making this gateway competitive together. And at the end of this decade, the Port of Long Beach will be on the cusp of not only operational transformation, given our rail investment, but also environmental transformation to a zero-emission port. Now, for 2024, this will be the year of rail. We will build on the momentum of our recent rail accomplishments and push ahead with exciting new construction projects. With each improvement, we enhance the velocity of cargo moving through our port and throughout the supply chain. This is the Amazon state of mind. Now, before we talk about what's ahead, let's talk about some rail achievements in 2023. We completed construction of the fourth track at Ocean Boulevard project, expanding our capacity at a critical point in the port's rail network. We began construction on the Terminal Island Y-track realignment project, which will boost cargo flow at the port's largest container terminal, Total Terminals International, and also improve efficiency and rail access for Long Beach bulk terminals on the eastern end of Pier T. There were many highlights in 2023. Last year, after being dormant, Pier A resumed its on-dock rail operations. Excellent timing to be ready for the year of rail, and thank you, SSA. In September, TTI set a productivity record for building the longest train in a single shift. The train, stretching more than 15,000 feet, nearly 3 miles, was staged at TTI's on-dock rail yard. It carried 588 loaded containers from Long Beach to BNSF's Logistic Park in Chicago. It was a textbook example of goods movement efficiency, the result of a finely choreographed collaboration among TTI's management, the ILWU, BNSF, and Pacific Harbor Line. And the ILWU and TTI also set a West Coast record for rail lifts for a 1-week period in late November into early December with 10,537 lifts of containers to and from rail cars on the terminal. Thank you. This is the year of rail. Now, meanwhile, we recently learned logistics provider Duncan & Son will team up with Union Pacific for a very unique rail haul service, a service to Phoenix from Long Beach, a route typically served by trucks. Thank you to Union Pacific and Duncan & Son for thinking outside the box to decongest our metropolitan corridors. Yes, this is the year of rail. And as I said earlier, this year will see the start of construction at our state-of-the-art Pier B on-dock rail support facility. The long-anticipated project will amplify velocity of cargo at our port, and we are set to break ground by summer, the year of rail. We've already had 3 mile-long trains, and it won't be long before 4-mile trains are coming down the Pier B tracks. Now let's take a look at the Pier B on-dock rail support facility.
What does it take to keep the economy running and goods flowing across oceans and continents? It takes ships, delivering goods to and from ports around the world. It takes ports that can unload those goods off ship and onto trains. It takes a transcontinental railroad linking those ports with cities across the nation. And it takes a fleet of trucks to finally bring those goods to market. That's a supply chain. Where does a green supply chain start? At the Port of Long Beach, with ships plugged into shore power, with the cleanest fleet of cargo handling equipment in the nation, with a new generation of zero-emissions trucks, and with a massive investment into one of the most critical railroad networks in the nation. Enter the Pier B on-dock rail support facility, an expanded rail yard that will link the port's existing on-dock rail into the regional and national rail system. It's a major improvement, one that will make the port more efficient, streamlined, and sustainable. The new facility will quadruple the number of tracks at the Pier B rail yard. Those new tracks will be able to handle 17 trains a day. That includes trains up to 2 miles long that are double stacked with 2 large containers per car. This will boost annual capacity to nearly 5 million containers. And a direct connection with the Alameda Corridor and the nation's railway means those goods will leave the port without adding to traffic on local roads. That's good news for residents, industry, and anyone in or around the harbor area. The Pier B on-dock rail support facility is a critical upgrade to an essential part of the global supply chain, connecting the port to 30 major rail hubs across the country. Adding more on-dock rail will reduce delays, speeding goods to market and lowering costs. Imports flow more smoothly inland, and exports of American-made goods reach customers around the world faster and at less cost. Building the facility will create more than 1,100 jobs locally during construction. And the Pier B project strengthens the port's competitiveness, helping to attract cargo and sustain the more than 575,000 Southern California jobs connected to Port of Long Beach trade. Nationwide, trade moving through the Port of Long Beach generates 2.6 million jobs. But why rail? Because one trip by train equals 750 trips by truck. Because trains can move a ton of cargo, nearly 500 miles, on a single gallon of fuel. And because moving cargo by rail reduces greenhouse gas emissions by 75%. It's a cleaner alternative to routes that send cargo through the Panama or Suez canals, with a 19% reduction in emissions. The Pier B on-dock rail support facility will be key to shrinking the supply chain's carbon footprint, improving service in and out of the port, bettering air quality, and providing good-paying jobs to the local workforce. Those benefits will be felt here in Long Beach, across the country, and across the global supply chain. The way to lower emissions, keep cargo flowing, and maintain the Port of Long Beach as one of the world's premier seaports is by rail.
Yes, sir. This is the year of rail. The Pier B Showcase will allow for faster, cleaner movement of freight by eliminating rail bottlenecks and reconfiguring several roadways in our North Harbor area. The impacts of the port operation will be lessened for our neighbors around the harbor complex and communities along our freight corridors. The project will create more than 1,100 good-paying jobs and ultimately increase the proportion of cargo moved by on-dock rail. The reconfiguration and expansion of this rail yard will amplify cargo velocity, increase terminal capacity, and lower the cost of doing business in the port, and in turn, make our port even more attractive as a cargo gateway. Pier B's benefits will not end at the port's property line. We will link to a future 4,000-acre intermodal hub in Barstow, being developed by BNSF, the Barstow International Gateway. There, cargo containers will be reprocessed and move along the BNSF network to the east. Now, let's hear from Katie Farmer, CEO of BNSF, Jim Vena, CEO of Union Pacific, and Otis Cleot, President of Pacific Hardline, with their thoughts on the Year of Rail.
Hello, everyone. I wish I could be there with all of you today, especially when today's theme is the Year of Rail. I'll be the first to tell you that I'm not only enthusiastic about 2024, but also the long-term future of the Port of Long Beach and BNSF. We collectively have several upcoming projects that are game changers for a supply chain that moves cargo by rail 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. Increased productivity is essential to not only maintaining, but increasing the West Coast global competitiveness. We see the value of increased productivity right here in LA at our Hobart Intermodal facility, where we process the largest amount of the world's domestic freight, much of it transloaded after arriving at the port. I'm proud to report that in 2023, Hobart achieved an on-time departure record of 94%, which led to Hobart's most efficient year in a decade. We are also continuing a multi-year project to increase efficiency at our San Bernardino Intermodal facility. Our 2023 performance demonstrates our commitment to safe and efficient service, with capacity for even more volume in 2024. All of us know, however, that we must look beyond 2024 and position ourselves for the future. In that spirit, I want to express BNSF's strong support for the Port of Long Beach's Pier B rail yard build-out project. This on-dock rail support facility will increase rail velocity and speed up moving cargo from the port and across the BNSF network to our customers. Pier B will be a big step forward in moving trains more efficiently from the port. At BNSF, we are doing our part as well with the Barstow International Gateway, or as we like to call it, BIG. BIG will be a state-of-the-art master-planned rail facility in Barstow, California. The facility, when complete, will evolve beyond the traditional model of an intermodal facility and create something that can better serve and improve the fluidity of the West Coast ports. The facility will have multiple customer benefits, such as lowering supply chain costs and reducing carbon emissions. It also benefits our intermodal partners by reducing the time freight sits at ports waiting to move. It will also provide a lower-cost rail move to an inland transload facility, as opposed to being moved by truck. We have a strong partnership with the Port of Long Beach and have much to look forward to in 2024 and the coming years. Projects like Pier B and BIG position us for the future competitiveness while also bringing significant environmental benefits to Southern California. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you today, and I look forward to seeing all of you in the near future.
Well, good day, everyone. I'm sitting here outside in January in Council Bluffs looking at a locomotive, and I thought, is there a better place to talk about the business that we're in and how we have to be looked at as a supply chain? And I'm very impressed and understand the commitment that the Port of Long Beach has done by investing $1.6 billion in Pier B to expand the capacity. And we look at the business, we've been partners for a number of years, and the business is an end-to-end business. No customer looks at the railroad all by itself, or the Port of Long Beach, or the vessels, or the originating spot. They look at it as one. And I think the investment that the Port of Long Beach has done will help us to win and be able to move the products that are driving the U.S. economy on a daily basis even better. UP is investing in new terminals. We're going to be opening up here in the next couple of weeks a new terminal in Phoenix to provide service that today is not being provided by Union Pacific into that. We spent also hundreds of millions of dollars in expanding our footprint for intermodal, both domestic and international, within the LA basin. At the railroads, we're doing our part. It's about being consistent, making sure our service is up to the right level. And I think with these kind of investments at the port, it does the same thing. Our service level is better, our customers see better service, our customers see that we live up to what we've committed to, and if we do that, we win. I congratulate Port of Long Beach and Mario, you as the CEO, and looking forward to coming out and visit and seeing how much more we can do together to grow the business.
Hello and welcome to Pacific Harbor Line. It's a pleasure to be with you and share how we are working with the Port of Long Beach and our stakeholders to transition this key trade gateway to a zero emissions facility. Behind me, we're displaying our newest clean locomotive, the Jewel, which is a battery electric locomotive that is an industry game changer. We received the EMDX 50 in April of 2023. On this locomotive, we've partnered with Progress Rail Service, which is a Caterpillar company. The partnership with Progress Rail and PHL has allowed us to reduce emissions that are being exhausted into the atmosphere. And this is just the beginning. This year, we are really excited about the start of Pier B Yard, which will be phase 1 of an 8-year project that at its conclusion will increase the productivity of the ports and will also address many of the clean air issues that we have. As San Pedro Bayport continues to lead the nation in clean air reduction, Pacific Harbor Lines is a partner everyone can count on. Thank you. We're all fantastic partners in clean air reduction. And I would also like to thank the staff of the Port of Long Beach for everything you do to assist PHL. And lastly, I would like to thank the union labor in San Pedro Bayport area, the ILWU, the BLET, which is the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers, Division 214. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Katie, Jim, and Otis. We have a lot to look forward to. Now, given our investment in rail, is it possible that in the next decade, the Port of Long Beach can achieve a level of 50% of cargo moving by on-dock rail? Is it possible that the port can operate 24/7 rail? And is it possible that we can achieve our zero emission goals? Yes, we can. When we work together, we can make the possible probable. Let's collaborate. In more great news, we had an incredible year in 2023 for attracting significant investment from our local, state, and federal partners. We've been fortunate, but we have worked hard. No other port earned a record level of awards. In March, as President Olvera said, the state pledged $110 million for the construction of a goods movement training center in partnership with the Port of Los Angeles. And in July, the California State Transportation Agency announced that our Green Port was awarded a record state investment of $383 million to accelerate zero-emission projects and advance the Pier B modernization. I want to thank the Governor, Gavin Newsom, and California State Transportation Secretary Tokes Omashakin for their leadership and investment in the Port of Long Beach. Now, $224 million is for the innovative air quality projects, including zero-emission tugboats, shore power for liquid boat ships, and much more. It was the largest grant ever from the state of California to any port, a real game changer for our ongoing efforts to spur job creation and cut emissions. In November, we secured a U.S. Department of Transportation grant of $52.6 million for Pier B's first phase. And just last month, the U.S. DOT announced a $283 million mega grant for the Pier B project. We now have commitments of $643 million in grants to build this very important project. And more than $500 million was awarded in 2023. Thank you. Now, the total is a mix of federal, state, local transportation dollars. And more investments and more partnerships are on the horizon. In October of last year, the U.S. Department of Energy announced the award of $1.2 billion to a public-private partnership to lead California's bid to create a hydrogen hub. This is the ARCHES project funding that we've been pushing and pursuing with our statewide partners. I want to thank, in particular, ARCHES CEO Angelina Galativa and Tyson Eckerly, Senior Advisor for the Clean Infrastructure and Mobility at the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. We expect to hear soon which of our many projects, hydrogen-related, will be funded as we bring this clean fuel into operations at the San Pedro Bay Port Complex. These funds, intended as seed money, to be matched by the port and our tenants, will support the robust employment of hydrogen fuel cell cargo handling equipment, as well as mobile hydrogen fueling stations and equipment, and later, drayage trucks. We have received, why have we received these grants? As I drink a little bit more coffee here. So the question is, why have we received these grants? Because we have a record of achievement in emission reduction efforts and sustainable development initiatives. So thank you to all the Port of Long Beach team members who have worked to obtain these grants. I can't name them all. However, their incredible efforts are absolutely worth noting and contributing to this record level of grant funding. May I have the team of the Port of Long Beach please stand up to be recognized. My wife's telling me to drink more water, less coffee. These funds will add tremendous value in our work to bring new clean sources of energy to our operations, expand our fleet of zero-emission equipment, and continue to be a force of economic development in the region. This is an ambitious return on our investment, which I firmly believe we can and will deliver. It is an exciting time for investments in Long Beach. I would like to thank the mayor and city council for their vision and leadership and collaboration on economic development for the city and port. A year ago, those you who may recall, I announced our zero emissions energy resilient operations policy, which is termed as ZERO. ZERO is designed to take our sustainability to the next level. We bring together many efforts to take air quality improvement and decarbonization throughout the supply chain and beyond. And I also said at last year's State of the Port, I said volume was not the most important metric for the Port of Long Beach. And this year I'll say it again. Cargo is not the most important metric. Success is not measured solely by the numbers of boxes moved. Now, to be clear, TEU volume is a major part. But how we process cargo is equally important. We must do it sustainably and efficiently, creating good jobs with middle-class incomes while mitigating the impacts of port operations. I was in the room when President Biden expressed a similar sentiment, describing the Trans-Pacific trade at the APEC Summit in November, when he made this statement. Take a look at this quote. Now, I believe the Port of Long Beach does exactly that. We also believe that we can be a vital economic engine and the greenest port in the United States. In fact, whatever challenges arise, we will remain unwavering in our resolve to accomplish our environmental goals, including transition to zero-emission cargo handling by 2030 and zero-emission trucking by 2035, and I believe we will begin earlier in that transition. Just 6 weeks ago, the SSA team at Pier C, in conjunction with Matson Navigation, unveiled 33 zero-emission yard tractors. The human-operated cargo handling equipment, funded partly with a $50 million grant, is powered by electric batteries. The project includes the infrastructure necessary to charge all 33 tractors at the same time. With the new SSA equipment, about 22% of the Port of Long Beach cargo handling fleet is now zero emission, the most of any port in the United States. And SSA terminals at Pier A added a hybrid stacking crane to work the reopened on-dock rail yard. Pacific Container Terminal added 3 of the hybrid stacking cranes as it continues to convert its fleet of cargo handling equipment. And the Breakboat Terminal at Pier F added 5 zero-emissions heavy lift forklifts. Those came in handy when taking delivery of the steel pieces painted Clipper Red for construction of the new arena home of the Clippers in the city of Inglewood. Now, last September saw the completion of the Tri-Gen fuel cell at Toyota's Port of Long Beach terminal. The Tri-Gen system, owned and operated by Fuel Cell Energy, produces renewable electricity, renewable hydrogen, and water from directed biogas. This is a huge achievement right here at the Port of Long Beach. Long Beach Container Terminal in 2023 added a level of resiliency to its own zero-emission operations with the completion of its second battery exchange building for its fleet of zero-emission guided vehicles. I would also like to recognize LBCT for winning Project of the Year at the U.S. Green Building Council's recent Sustainable Innovation Awards. It was well deserved. Now, in another milestone, Pacific Harbor Line has put into operation its new zero-emission locomotive, the Progress Rail Battery Electric Joule engine. With all the new clean air technology being introduced on the docks and beyond, the port zero-emission fleet continues to grow. Let me show you some examples. We have stayed ahead of schedule in meeting our emission reduction targets, continuing to improve air quality. Look at these reductions in 2022 compared to baseline year 2005. In addition to that progress, we successfully corrected course on greenhouse gas emissions, cutting them by 16% in just 1 year, from 2021 to 2022. Zero also includes our Pure Wind initiative. We are proposing to build towering offshore wind turbines in the port, tow them to federal waters off the coast of central and northern California, and ultimately enable the state to generate 25 gigawatts by year 2045, and that's enough to power 25 million homes. We released the final concept design for Pure Wind in April, and just last month we began the first steps of the environmental review of the proposed 400-acre terminal in our harbor. In 2023, we announced with the Port of Los Angeles the start of green shipping corridors between the San Pedro Bay and both Shanghai and Singapore. The first of its kind effort, which includes some of the vessel's largest shipping lines and leading cargo owners, will accelerate emission reductions on two of the world's busiest shipping lines across the Pacific. This is a momentous step forward towards decarbonizing the global supply chain that powers our economy, utilizing lower carbon fuels and ultimately transitioning to zero emission vessels. The new and innovative vessel technologies increase the availability of sustainable fuels and better practices created through the Green Corridor will also lead to cleaner and future air beyond the ports. It's one reason why the Long Beach port is known as the Green Port. Now, on the home front, we continue to find even more ways to reduce the port impacts in neighborhoods nearest the port through our Community Grants Program, which, by the way, is the largest of any port in the country. In 2023, the Harbor Commission approved 11 awards totaling $6.3 million for community-conceived projects to increase energy efficiency, generate solar power, and build bike and pedestrian lanes to cut greenhouse gases. In November, the Port of Los Angeles, or with the Port of Los Angeles, we announced a new initiative to provide $16 million to help truck drivers purchase zero-emission drayage trucks. Our mission in the port is to move cargo efficiently, rapidly, sustainably. Our goal in the community is to improve lives and livelihoods, and I am proud of our accomplishments on both realms. In 2023, we saw our cargo volumes return to pre-pandemic levels and even top 8 million TEUs by year's end. We welcome ratification of a 6-year labor agreement between the ILWU and Pacific Maritime Association. There is good news all over the port. Jacobson Pilot Services is celebrating its 100th year, and we congratulate Tom and Jacobson Services a valuable and long-term partner on its centennial. And in 2023, we created the International Transportation Service, or celebrated with International Transportation Service, ITS, the completion of a $55 million wharf extension at Pier G. The project enables ITS to accommodate larger ships carrying up to 16,000 TEUs. And if you are at the Trans-Pacific Maritime Conference this coming March, watch for us to reveal something exciting, some exciting news about our new capabilities for our supply chain information highway. The port has also created a new central procurement service division, which will heighten efficiency and consistency and ensure that we adhere to our diversity and equity and inclusion in procurement practices. Last year, we opened up the Mark Bixby Memorial Bicycle Pedestrian Path, honoring a great man and giving the public a way to get a beautiful view of the working harbor. Now, speaking of the working harbor, I'd like to thank the longshore workforce of the St. Peter Bay. We are grateful for their dedication to making this the premier gateway for trans-Pacific trade. And now, let's hear directly from the leadership of the ILWU locals.
The one thing I'm most proud of is the ILW's workforce. We continually break records every month, every quarter, every year. I'm proud of the fact that we move 40% of the world's cargo right here through these ports, and I'm looking forward to keep doing that, and I would toast every single year to the men and women of the ILWU.
What makes the Port of Long Beach one of the best ports in the world is their cutting-edge technology. Projects such as Pure Wind, their hydrogen development for the future, for equipment.
We're supportive of going green because we see now that the changes they've made is that they're going green with the men and women working in the machine. So the environmental justice and economic justice are now working together, and that's why we're supportive of going green.
Generations and generations of my family have been here, and we look forward to continue to bring them forward and best job in the world.
In 2024, I'm looking forward to getting all the cargo back that's relocated to other areas. I'd like to make the Port of Long Beach very, very proud with all the innovations that they're putting forward. I'd like to see our workforce using all this and setting record numbers of volume.
In 2024, we're excited about the new on-dock rail at Pier B. We're looking at Pier W and the offshore wind. We're looking at ways to increase the jurisdiction for the men and women of the ILWU.
You know, we've worked through pandemics and we stood strong. And the ILWU's here, will continue to be here, and continue to move our cargo, continue to move the country in the right direction and economically provide for America.
I want to say thank you to the Port of Long Beach for your continued support of the men and women of the ILWU. We look forward to breaking records with you, breaking new grounds on new projects with you, and we look forward to our future.
Okay. Yes, sir. Now, last year we welcomed and connected with many leaders from Long Beach, Sacramento, and Washington, D.C., who all wanted a closer look at the port. We thank them for their interest in port operations and for their advocacy on our behalf. Now let's take a look as to who visited the Port of Long Beach.
This is a public port. This is a city port. This is the Port of Long Beach.
Supply chain is a team sport, and we're just looking forward to continuing the hard work together to build a more resilient supply chain and a more competitive economy here in the U.S.
How does this speak to your membership's perseverance and determination?
The ILWU cemented its status as the premier union throughout the world with its poise, its focus, its patience, and just getting up every day and keeping the global economy going.
It is so great to be here at the Port of Long Beach, and I am so grateful to our hosts for making today happen, for helping us better understand some of the concerns that are happening here at the Port of Long Beach, and how collectively we can work together, create those connections to help build resilience across our communities.
Now, I'm just a messenger here. To carry out our mission and implement Harbor Commission policies, I rely on the Port of Long Beach team. Helping me to lead the team is a highly qualified, a very accomplished group of executives. We are very fortunate to have their expertise and skills at the Port of Long Beach. Meanwhile, I'd like to thank someone that you did not see on the slide, our capital programs executive, Dwayne Carnegie. Dwayne is about to embark on a new pursuit, retirement. Dwayne joined the Port of Long Beach in 2014 to guide major projects like the Gerald Desmond Replacement Project and Middle Harbor redevelopment. That was after a long career working on such projects as the Alameda Corridor. And Dwayne served many leadership roles in his time here at the Port of Long Beach. And again, I would like to thank Dwayne Carnegie. And I also want to thank and recognize the entire Harbor Department staff, who year after year deliver outstanding work in their service to the community and to the industry, and to our commitment to operational excellence. Those of us who have the honor working for the Long Beach Harbor Department will continue to be dedicated public servants and devoted neighbors. Could we have the Port of Long Beach team members in the room stand up, please? Thank you. There you go. I am so enthusiastic about what lies ahead for 2024. As I conclude, I have one last announcement. I am pleased to inform you that the Port of Long Beach will open a new Innovation and Technology Center in the coming months. Located in the Port Administration Building at the Civic Center Plaza, the space will be devoted to education and engagement with an interactive displays that will trace the port's 100-plus year history and its commercial and environmental achievements. We look forward to hosting our customers, civic organizations, international dignitaries, and students in our wonderful meeting space, which will include a 3D representation of the port complex. It is my honor to announce that the center will be known as the Congressman Alan Lowenthal Global Trade and Education Center. As many of you know, Congressman Allen has been a great champion for the Port of Long Beach, and for many years in his capacity as state assemblyman, state senator, and as our representative in Congress until his retirement in 2023. This is a fitting tribute to a man who has meant so much to Long Beach.
In 1992, while going door to door in his first city council campaign, California State University Long Beach professor Alan Lowenthal was confronted over and over again by residents asking one question: what is this black soot in my windowsills? Once elected to the Long Beach City Council, he went digging for the answer. Tracing the soot to dust blowing from uncovered coal and petroleum coke piles at the nearby ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles, Lowenthal took action and loudly advocated for covers on these piles. His persistence saw the Oxbow coal and coke shed built in 1994 in the Port of Long Beach to capture dust, a move that significantly improved air quality in the area. In 1998, as a freshman California assemblyman, Lowenthal continued his push for environmental change, often clashing with business interests. He was able to pass AB 2650, a state bill aimed at reducing the idling times of trucks waiting to pick up cargo at the ports. This bill marked a turning point in trade-related regulatory policy. Holding firm to his belief that business success and environmental responsibility should and could align, Lowenthal introduced further legislation to address the idling trucks by extending terminal hours. Agreeing to pull the legislation if an extended gate hour program was developed by the industry, the San Pedro Bay ports and terminal operators agreed to set up their own extended gate hours program called Pier Pass, which launched in 2005. That same year, the Port of Long Beach adopted the groundbreaking Green Port policy. followed a year later by the comprehensive San Pedro Bay Port's Clean Air Action Plan. As the port moved forward with its clean air initiatives, funding became an issue. Elected to the U.S. House of Representatives in 2012, Lowenthal, as chair of the Congressional Ports Caucus, began to educate Congress not only about the importance of our nation's ports and goods movement, but also the necessity of regular investments in these systems. He remained a vocal champion of federal funding for our nation's ports throughout his congressional tenure. Alan Lowenthal retired from Congress in 2023, leaving behind a legacy of environmental progress that all began with a simple question.
Join me. Please join me in thanking Congressman Alan Lowenthal. Alan, could you please stand? Now, thank you so much for attending the State of Port 2024. The San Pedro Bay Complex will compete and will succeed. Our commercial standing is strong. Our environmental resolve is unmatched. And now, let's take this midnight train to Georgia, the TEUs and special guest singer, Keziah Daniels.
But he didn't get far. But he sure found out the hard way that dreams don't always come true. So he pawned all his hopes. He even sold his car and bought a one-way ticket back to the life he once knew. Oh yes, he said he would. He's leaving on that midnight train from Long Beach. Leaving on the midnight train. Yeah, said he's going back to find, going back to a simpler place. Whenever he takes that ride, guess it's gonna be right by his side. I've got to be with him. I know you will. On that midnight train from Long Beach. On the midnight train from Long Beach. I'd rather live in his world, without him in my world to sing his I'm leaving on that midnight train from Long Beach. On the midnight train. Yeah. Said I'm going train from Long Beach. Woo-hoo. I'd rather live in his world, live in his without him in my world to cease. His news alone for love. Gotta go, gonna go the midnight train to go for love. I gotta go, gonna go on the midnight train to go. My world, his world, our world, mine and his alone. My world, his world, our world, mine and his love. I've got to go, I've got to go, I've got to go. Hey, I've got to go, I've got to go, I've got to go. Hey, I've got to go. That midnight train to go.
Thank you all.